can't believe that this many people actually voted to keep him in office.
I can't help but admit I agree with Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with Caitlyn. Number one, you can't believe it in a state that's 2-1 Democrat to Republican. Like, how can you not believe that? You know, particularly when the alternative was Larry Elder, someone who people think is more extreme to the right, and Caitlyn Jenner, you know, the reality show star. I mean, of course, formerly a gold medalist, runner, but I don't know how that qualifies you to be, anything. And reality show stars, though we do like them in positions of leadership, conservatives seem to like them in positions of leadership. I don't think it necessarily qualifies you for anything. So the reason Gavin Newsom got reelected was because his campaign ran a really good race in making it not about Gavin Newsom. That's the thing. They did the smart thing was, we don't have to run on our accomplishments. Let's run on the crazy things that you said. And they're, including, Caitlyn Jenner, who I think made a comment that, something about homeless people and people being upset that they had homeless people, anywhere. And, I don't remember the exact comment, but I remember being like, whoa, that's not something that you want to say. You showed absolutely no empathy.
But don't you think you're kind of making the same point that Caitlyn Jenner's making, which is like, shouldn't Gavin Newsom, if he's, in a appropriate world of politics, you should be able to run on your successes as the incumbent. You should be able to point to your record and say, yes, I should stay in office. And that's not what Gavin Newsom did. Gavin Newsom decided to use Larry Elder's prominence in his opposition as the way that he was going to win this thing. They flew in, of course, all these top Democrats and got advertisements cut by all these top Democrats to support him and get people energized to go out and vote. But it wasn't on the basis of his record. It was on the basis of attacking Larry Elder. And so Caitlyn Jenner is making, I think, a point that shouldn't be necessarily tied to any political party, which is it's interesting that Gavin Newsom is not running on success because he doesn't have success to point to. And that's a disappointing situation.
Yeah. So that's debatable. I mean, some people were upset with Gavin Newsom about his hypocrisy with COVID and COVID restrictions. But when we look at their situation or the situation in California versus the situation in other large states like Florida, Texas, and certainly throughout the South, Alabama, Arkansas, he made the argument. Part of the argument was that his restrictions for COVID worked, whereas these countries I'm thinking Sarah Silverman again, these states, that their lack of restrictions failed. And so I think California's voters kind of were like, all right, he has a point. I mean, we didn't like the fact that he went to the restaurant without a mask and is living like a socialite. But at the end of the day, what he did actually made it so that, I can get treatment for my heart disease at the hospital and it's not overrun with COVID patients like it is in Mississippi, like it is in Alabama, like it is in Florida, in comparable states like Florida and Texas. So I think, he made that argument, but I agree. You and I have talked about this at length, both on and off camera, that they ran a smart campaign. Not only did they bring in the big heavyweights who didn't want to lose California, but also they made it about Larry Elder and to a lesser extent, because Larry Elder doesn't have any political accomplishments to run on either. Neither does Caitlyn Jenner because they're not politicians. So they don't have accomplishments to run on. And, the other
because they're not the incumbent.
But the other candidates who did, there were some who I forgot his name, but he was the mayor of San Diego. He has political accomplishments he could run on, but he wasn't a high profile candidate. And so there were people who could say, look, I've done it right in my city, or I've done it right here, and I've done it right for millions of Californians. And Gavin Newsom has done things wrong. But those people weren't prominent in this race. So you had Caitlyn Jenner, the reality star, and it's pretty easy to run against her. She has no accomplishments, and she's done, in the political realm. Of course, if you want to watch that documentary about her in the Olympics, yo, I was so fired up. It's awesome. About Bruce running in the Olympics. It was an amazing documentary. But other than that, she doesn't have any political accomplishments to say, I'm better than Gavin Newsom because I've done this. So I think that was a big part of it.